At the end of the day, for me, it's all about storytelling. The journey of production is a really hard one, and you will lose sight of land or of your initial intentions.
Just checking where are you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that can change. It is also that.
You have to think about your idea and your passion, the bit that drives you about the story. That what actually decided my path from the beginning, and that's just keeping it simple in form of telling a story. It wasn't a moment when I realized I wanted to go into media, whatever the cost is. It was more like a moment of realization. I didn't have a choice.
I feel like your whole journey is about like this quest for meaning, for truth, for finding your place in this industry.
I would say is for me like the need of perfecting storytelling and bringing it to a large audience. That is sort of like my guiding light, and I'm sure that will change just as unannounced as it has in the past. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next steps.
Okay, hello, thank you for joining us today. That is the third time we are recording this, and I'm gonna bring this because that will clear the air. Linda Kettler, you're a wonderful journalist and TV producer, and currently you're working as a full-time senior editor for Primetime News, late night talk show. And what I want to ask you first is to join us into sort of asking people to follow us, because this is important. I think the conversations and people that we are bringing on board are important and have to happen, because hopefully they bring motivation and some light into some people's life, and they will help them stay in this industry or maybe enter it at the right point in their life. And I truly believe that's important, and we have ever wholeheartedly doing this work already a year, and we want to bring more people with us on board. So please, dear people, subscribe, follow us.
Subscribe, follow.
It costs nothing, but it brings us a lot more opportunities to do this more on a constant basis. So moving into our conversation, what I want to ask you is that you, in particular, you grew up in the household where you have your father, who was a filmmaker, and you were privy to all the probably emotional costs and the financial costs that took to be on this path. And your father warned you actively not to follow him on this path. But I want to ask you, do you know the moment, can you pinpoint the moment where you knew that you still want to follow this path, that it have your name on it, that it calls you? And would you warn your own daughter against pursuing this career in the future?
It's a very good time to ask me this question, because I find myself in the position of making actually that decision, or how to, if to warn my daughter from entering the business of media. And I still have some thought processing to do, and finding a decision in that direction. But maybe by talking, let's start. The thing is, my father warned me because he knew, and I obviously the whole family knew the cost, as you said, more financial, because emotional, it wasn't really a cost, other than the stress of being a producer and running a firm and everything in times where everyone is for themselves in media, and you have to sort of like produce everything as a media producer in Iceland in that time in the 80s. It was like you have to, if to survive, you have to really offer everything as a media firm. You had to like make TV commercials, you had to like try to do feature films, you had to do like a demos for firms, so commercial stuff, as well documentary, and just, basically being a multi-talent. And, juggling all that plus family and the financial situation is, was quite hard. And I sort of like, I was in awe of what he did, and my mother as well. Obviously being sort of like, the financial caretaker of the whole what's it called, production for my father. And so I really I carried that thought and carried that angst during my time as a kid and a young adult. But at some stage, you still have to go you still have to go what you think your mission is. So you have to do, it's just a question of finding the courage to following your path. And that it wasn't a moment when I realized I wanted to go into media, whatever the cost is. It was more like I realized the moment of realization I didn't have a choice. So because it is my path. And so it's like it wasn't a question of, do I go this way or this way? It was sort of like realizing, okay, I really don't have a choice. Yeah, it is the path. Yeah, because my father always said to me, when I stood in, when I asked him, how do you make decisions? How can I make decisions that are really hard and affect everyone around me, and affect my future, and make my future? And he always said, follow your heart. So that's what I always did. And the realization of, I just needed to find the courage to do it anyway. So whatever the cost. And and that's what's still happening, I guess. It's just, you have to find the courage every day. But because in media and in these times that aren't getting any better, and they're getting more complicated, and with social media. So that's not really, it's not only that we are what's current situation in politics and society, it's also the digital process that we're going through. It's a transformation that is happening. And so as a really like stable and a professional that with lots of experience, you still need to, make an effort every day, because the development of technique and what is needed by people and in media, that is changing so fast. So that you have to evolve with it
very fast
if you want to survive.
That's the thing. It's such a rapid speed that is like, we are kind of, I don't know if we'll ever get used to it, or if we just have to start going like, hey, let's just calm down and not try to compete with AI or something like that, but then rather find what is the humanity in it, all of it.
And also, and I sort of find the truth for myself, or the path, or the guiding light, and that is that what actually made, what decided my path from the beginning. And that's just keeping it simple in form of telling a story. You're just doing a narrative, and you're telling a story. So storytelling is, the red line through everything, and all the technique and ups and downs in politics and everything around it is still, at the end of the day, for me, it's all about storytelling and the passion of doing that for all generations, and especially the young, because that has always been sort of like a special interest of mine, to be there for the younger generation that have to carry all the burden that the former generations have put on them, and help them and guide them through times of difficulty. So
I think it's interesting you spoke about you went into journalism, and then you did it. Daddy, we love you. You know what I mean? It's like, nope, I'm going to do it, which I think is very brave. and strong, particularly if you hear it all the time, that is like, don't do it. Don't do it. That means
or maybe it was stupid and I could have done a lot better sitting somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, you never know. So
you never know. What is
Yeah.
interesting is that you spoke then about your disappointment with journalism and in the ability to tell the full truth. And, you know, I realized, I was like, wait, what is going on here? Yes, there's certain areas or certain news channel stuff where I'm like, yeah, that's not truth telling. Yet I somehow had this, I don't know, La La Land vision of journalism in Europe and that we're more independent. And so I really want to ask you, because what you talked about then surprised me, is like, what do you think audiences underestimate about how truth is constructed in media? Because I definitely did.
I think what they estimate or what they don't see is the fact that fake news isn't something that, you know, something that started happening when the name did that fake news. Yeah, it's always been, because storytelling and telling the truth, you know, just telling narrative in itself, even though if you're telling a story that from your point of view is truth and history writing and everything, it's always like an extract and it's always with an inbuilt point of view. So telling the truth isn't actually possible, because as you are telling it, you are making a selection of what happened, and you're also you cannot, you know, leave your skin and see it from another point of, as well, another person's point of view. So it's like I think that is sort of the thing that and that's also something that that shocked me and sort of made a bump in my plan to become a journalist at the point when I was, you know, finishing my academic career, because my path into media wasn't only just television. It started with a deep academic curiosity to analyze and understand media and communication, you know, from the point of theories and academic research, and not just from experience. So that's why I went beyond just, you know, practice and hands-on. That's where I decided to go into, you know, studying media and communication at the London School of Economics, which was really an effort but enormously giving in a time. And also it was sort of like my aha moment of realizing, okay, so there's that about truth. You can't really tell it. Do I still want to be a journalist if that's not possible? If I found out also during research and writing a dissertation that I talked to journalists and news departments of televisions, and I found out that they sort of like, they're sitting at news, what's it called? I don't know my word. They're sitting and at the, you know, and reading Reuters, and they're reading APA, and they're like taking out what they need for the headlines, and they mostly don't have the time to that mostly don't have the time to dig deeper, because they are in a fast-paced environment and they have to deliver, and they have to do like on a daily basis in a really high tempo. So they don't actually have the capacity, they don't have the resources to go beyond research that is just, you know, what the news agencies are giving you. So that was like really, really disappointing for me. I was naive, obviously, yeah, because I heard this and I knew it, but to really like experience it, yeah, was disappointing. And I decided to go and I decided to just, you know, leave the wishes or the dream of being a journalist or a reporter for news or for a television channel, and thought about, you know, going and doing documentaries and reports on something else than current affairs, somewhere where I can just, dig into research and find facts and actually tell them. Because they are like, the bottom of a research, and talk to specialists, and that's where I landed in nature documentaries, because I was, as I said, I was a bit, in awe of what news production actually withholds.
Mhm.
So there's that.
You said that you were naive. I think what you were, and I'm pretty sure that still is there, you were pure and you have a good heart and good intentions, and that's, I think, what journalists should be, have the right intention to, inform people. And obviously, as you said, the truth isn't like, it's not something, because everyone has their own point of view.
Yeah.
But the intention is what counts, and we could only hope that, a lot more people who enter in this profession has this good heart and, this inner search for truth. That's what's important. And that would probably heal the world.
Please all be like Linda. Please all be like Linda.
Yeah, but it's a luxury, actually. Yeah, because, you, at the end of the day, like my father had to do, he had to take all kinds of jobs just to feed his family. So the same happens to journalists and reporters. They love their job. They have the best intentions, but at the end of the day, they're sort of like, I just need this production and I have to get it done, so I can get paid. So that's the dilemma of the whole thing. You can have the biggest heart in the world, but if you have a mouth to feed, then your intentions end there. I guess it's a question of surviving, probably.
Yeah. And what you said, then you moved into documentary work. That was also the moment where you realized that it's not that, comparing to journalism, it's not that different, right? So can you tell us about this?
So I started off doing like an assistant, production assistant for a nature documentary production. And I was really drawn into the intersection of nature, science, research, and cinematic storytelling. Mm-hmm. And I was really lucky and grateful for having the possibility to work for prestigious platforms like National Geographic and Terra Mata, which is quite huge here in Austria, and they stand for quality and the best of research on an international scale. So there was a part of me that was really coming home to that and enjoying it. But at the end of the day, my story sort of went on because I wanted to step up and I wanted to take more responsibility. And in this huge business, I found I was studying and I was stopping at a wall, and I needed to go and do more filming. I just wanted to go out there and take more responsibility as a storyteller, as myself. So I thought about getting more experience in a more low-key job, working for the Austrian National Broadcasting Channel, ORF. And that's where I sort of like, by chance, started doing casting shows, sort of like primetime week, huge shows, but not on an international scale. But it was interesting in a way because it was the beginning of reality TV. And so there was, the opportunity for me to work as a segment producer. So that was the leap that I wanted to do, and I was too, I didn't have the patience to wait for something for someone to give me more like responsibility, and I wanted to go and I wanted to film and I wanted to get a hands-on, not as a production assistant, but for making an effort as a segment producer and doing the editing myself and so on. So that's why I started at the beginning working for a reality TV, and I did one show after another, and until I eventually ended up doing other stuff like mini documentaries, actually where I actually wanted to go all the time. Because then I had gathered enough experience to be like a director and editor of segments for magazines, TV magazines, and documentaries. So that's sort of like the finding myself and finding the instruments with reality TV, because there was a huge need for many people, many young people with big dreams. So that's where I sort of like, found the door, and I went in and took what I could get in from, experience side of things. So that's where I got into being actually a director, a TV producer, and segment producer.
Which you're talking about what you're doing now, right?
But no, that's another transition.
But may I take you back and go a little bit deeper, because I think it's very interesting what Valeria is talking about, documentaries, and then going into reality, Jesus, TV. Is that you told us that it was interesting with the documentary that it was kind of, you felt the same, even if you're, like, for me, again, it was like, I could feel that when we were talking to you before, that like you were bursting all my bubbles with where I like see things. And I would see documentary. I was like, first the journalism, I'm like, yes, I know of course of that, but I kind of was hoping that in the independent European way that would be a different thing. Then you told us about documentary, and you said that it was surprised, or it was also you experienced there, then also that you weren't really, even if it's a documentary, always telling the truth in a way. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, making a nature documentary, you still have to make a script. You still have to write a story and pitch it so that you get the funding to actually produce it. So you write like you research a behavior of an animal or of a phenomena. You research that, and then you put it into your script, and then you sell it. You pitch it, and they said, okay, great story, go ahead. And then you have to actually make it happen. And then you organize your team, and you organize your equipment and everything, get everything together. And then you have to sort of like, picture the story that you sold. So you have to basically make things happen that you have researched are truth that are happening, that can happen, but that you need them to happen in front of your camera with the lights on and with your team awake. So that's where you start, tweaking things and making things happen. And it can involve, just taking the animals out of their natural environment and putting them in a blue box, or, just, making little adjustments. So that's where I thought, okay, reality TV, and it was the first one in Austria. It was about people being sort of like stuck together in an apartment, and they only got to go outside to work as a taxi driver. And in the taxi car, there were cameras as well. So they were always being filmed. They were like, animals under observation. But the thing is, I sort of like told myself, it's actually not bad, because they made the decision to go there themselves. These are people that made, the adults that make a decision to go in front of the camera. And they can always say, like, stop, like, get out. They weren't like tied in or bound as animals are, because then obviously they can't leave, or they can't go, and they can't change the situation. So I thought, okay, at least yes, we are filming, and yes, we are maybe to a certain way, manipulating our subjects in front of the camera, which obviously has to happen because they're, you have to also you have to always, present a story, otherwise your viewers aren't interested. So you have to always put something in to make it more exciting. So you're always sort of dropping things in reality and sort of steering it into an interesting area to make something happen. So that's the kind of manipulation I'm talking about. And I thought, okay, at the end of the day, these are adults and they can always leave if they want to. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I told myself at the moment, that it was okay. Yeah. But yeah, in retrospective,
high to truth telling. This is very impressive.
Right.
And in preparation for this episode, I was kind of you reminded me of someone, a director that I really like. He's a Polish director. He passed away many years ago. Independent, his name was Krzysztof Kieslowski, and he was, growing up in Poland, where it was after the Second World War. And it was a very particular situation. So he, in particular, had a very high regard for truth, and he was a truth seeker, and he wanted to tell the truth, an unadulterated truth, which is, he had his own way of seeing things. And at first he went into documentary filmmaking, where he realized that he can never be privy to those things that are happening, which are most important ones that really deserve to be told. So that's how he entered he decided that it's, manipulated in a way where he reconstructed events in a certain way that he observed himself with his own eyes. And then he just, it's more true than to manipulate the subjects in a natural, they're kind of natural habitat, as you said, putting two, I don't know, animals in a box and, putting the lights on and making them do things. So instead he decided to reconstruct those things. But there was one experiment which was actually pretty evident and interesting. He was set on a journey to create a documentary film about courts, how courts were dealing with political prisoners, and do they what sentences did they want to do they want to release them, do they want to put them in prison for years and years and years. And he was convinced that those decisions would be against political prisoners. But he realized once he put a camera in front of the judge, those sentences went completely different day. They were more lenient, more, free. And that's how he decided, okay, I'm going to fail the mission. I'm not going to, I couldn't achieve my goal of this documentary. But instead, I'm going to help and free more political prisoners. So he put a lot of cameras. He sent his crews all around Poland in those courts. And without even some of them didn't even have film inside. So they were not even shooting anything. But in this way, he realized that doing the political things behind closed doors is much more easier than, do it on camera and then realizing that people would watch it after all. So I guess that was his way of truth telling and supporting the truth in one way or another.
Very interesting character.
He was, yes, exactly. And I think you reminded me of him because you have this high regard as well to truth telling. And that's why you probably moved into something more like reality TV. That's very interesting. I never thought that could be more true.
Well, it was also that it was you have to think, about the time. At that time, it was a pioneer work because nobody knew, what was going to happen. And it was, the first time you were just, putting up cameras and waiting for something to happen. And, reality. Yeah, it was the beginning of reality. And everyone was curious about it. And that's why I was sort of this is, kind of pioneer work. And I was really curious to see what actually would happen and how people would behave. And but at the end of the day, we still ended up editing parts, and making and telling small stories, like segments of stories. So like one person doing this and that, or that his day from getting up in the morning until late in the evening, and there was one theme, and so you like recap the story with a message and everything. So you're like taking sort of reality, and also telling the story in retrospective as well. So there was like a lot of constructing going on as well in the recap.
But may I ask you, because with reality, I personally can't watch it. I don't watch it.
No, I don't. I can't watch it anymore because I worked at it, and my pink glasses are off, and all I see is the work behind it, and and that's why I cannot. I don't watch reality.
I think mine is, as an actor, just I can see that those people are just not being really real, because it's so hard to really be real, because we're so afraid to show ourselves. We're so afraid to be rejected. We're so afraid that we're not good enough or perfect enough, that what I could feel when I tried to watch it, that it was like they're always putting up, so intense masks and trying to portray something they think is going to be good, or, or show them in the right light. How did you experience then that? Because the animals, even if you put them in a box, they're going to be an animal. They're just going to be a confused animal. They're going to be like, what the heck? What am I doing here? And they will show that behavior a lot of times. Animals are very true. I mean, I have a dog, and, that dog just shows me very clearly, like,
obviously it's the awareness of humans that you don't have with animals. That's one thing. And then it's sort of like if I can just fast forward into present day, there everyone puts on a persona as soon as you have a camera pointed, or if you are aware that someone is watching you or recording you, then if you're being witnessed, then you put on a persona. In that instant, it's the same thing as in telling a story, even though it's from an historian, or recapping history, or retelling something that you experienced and you saw and it happened, and you're saying that's truth. That's what happened. That's the same thing is going on when you put a camera or you record a person's doings or words. It's the same thing that happens. You put on a persona. I think it's the awareness that humans have, and make them into what they are, I guess. Because I experienced this very strongly. Also, there's a difference between people that aren't used to being in front of the camera and people, like politicians, because they are obviously trained until, they train, and they have like a team of people training them and molding them and into them telling stories as is intended. And so that's also something that I wouldn't say enjoy watching, but it is something that I do watch. Knowingly the difference between politicians and normal people. And that's what I like about our talk show, is that we prefer normal people, experts, and people just from the street to politicians who are doing telling us a story from a certain perspective with a purpose. That purpose is getting elected, and with completely different intentions. So that's why I like about debates that we produce for the Thursday show that I'm doing, is that we not only talk to people that are trained but also people that are just like normal people, but also they obviously they are doing their version and they're trying to be their best version. And yeah,
but
so
it's a
everything
different
is
format.
constructive. Yeah,
we're all, even this, us being here,
everything is constructive. Yeah.
This is constructed. But I think within that form, for me personally, I don't know, but you guys, for me, it is like there's a difference of being observed the whole time and you're not an actor and you haven't trained and you're not able to really let go and fully be in that one thing. Or as you're doing now, where you're talking to people about their opinions. That's something that I do enjoy watching, because that's for me a different situation, because they don't have this extra thing of like, you know, I need to go to the bathroom, you know, kind of thing, like, or I'm eating, how do I eat, you know, all of that. So, but it's fascinating. It's just how we are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think like reality shows, it's an umbrella term for many things, right? So that's why it's a bit misleading. So what you're doing is obviously like high quality stuff, which is interesting to watch and follow for.
Yeah, we do like deep dive into political debate, talking to all kinds of different people, and we try to, you know, find people that can, you know, have bring both perspectives to an actual current affair, so that our audience can lean into it and sort of like, you know, have thoughts about both sides of the coin, and maybe open and widen their horizon, because they find someone, you know, sympathetic, who's telling something that they don't want to hear, and the other side of the story that they don't like, but maybe they will listen to him because you know, some truths that maybe will hit home, and either sort of like find a place in within their emotions or within their intellect, and maybe even change people's minds. It's not about changing people's minds, but, you know, widening the horizon. And that's what I like about it.
I love that. It's very, very profound, and I think it's important. These the days we're now, you know, what we're experiencing now, I think it's really, and it has always been. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's like offering a perspective.
Yeah,
what conversations kind of should be about, like, you know, just being open and like conversing and seeing where it guides us. And I mean, this conversation is definitely guiding us in all the right places. What I want to ask you, when did you feel that it hit home for you? Like, where you felt, okay, that, because I feel like your whole journey is about like this quest for meaning, for truth, for finding your place in this industry, in this whole thing, somewhere that your kind of inner compass can, you know, feel right in the right place. So that is organic to you. Where do you feel it, or do you think it's ongoing quest and there is something else on the horizon for you?
I think just, you know, storytelling, narrative, and putting that everything in the most possible cinematic or aesthetic way of presenting it to a large audience. That is something that I will, you know, always wanted to do and always will want to do. And where the next station will be, I'm not sure. And that has to do with also with, you know, the pace and that, you know, the transformation that media is going through. So I'm sort of like, you know, watching and as always learning, and on ongoing quest, I would say, is for me like the need for telling a story, the need of, you know, perfecting storytelling and bringing it to a large audience. And that, you know, that is sort of like the red thread or my guiding light, and where this need and where this quest will go next, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it will be just as the path will change just as unannounced as it has in the past. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next steps.
Linda, you know what one feels, and I mean, you talked about it before. You are also a born teacher.
Yeah.
The way you
Well,
speak, the way you communicate, you're very clear. And I know also you taught and you loved it. And that it's just a, passion of yours. And I'd love to ask you is, what do you feel most responsible for passing on to the younger storytellers?
you know, that yeah, that's a really, really, really good point, because it is sort of like the navel at the heart of what I and that's where if I'm doing if I'm teaching and I'm doing sort of like a theory, I always come at the end to always start off going through the different phases of production. And there's the beginning and the writing and the production and the aesthetic and the camera and the sound design and editing and everything. Yeah. But at the heart of the thing that I want to tell youngsters is that don't lose yourself in the technique. Keep it simple in terms of focus on the story that you want to tell. Don't lose yourself in technical, things and options that will drown you, literally, because there are so many options of doing and how you can use AI and how you can film this or that way, or editing, sitting in an editing room and have not being able to decide something can put you, in on halt, yeah, and it's blocking you. And so I think that the most dangerous blockade in production and in visual storytelling is that you're getting lost in technical things. So I think that's the most important message I have for production, for future, for youngsters, and I think it will stay that way. It was like that, and it will always be like that. So storytelling is, you have to sort of like remind yourself and be aware of, the journey of production is a really hard one, and you will lose sight of land or of your initial intentions, and that's a really dangerous thing about this whole thing. And I always sort of like, I talk about it like when you are a director of an orchestra, and you even the best will start and take the tone with a what's it called, a tone cable, like finding the tone, you don't like
right?
Ding, yeah. And that's what you have to do. You have to think about your idea and your passion, the bit that drives you about the story. You have to think of it like that, an instrument of just keeping you safe, and like the tone that you always have to get. And okay, yeah, there's my passion, yeah, to keep you going and to be your guiding light through everything and all the options that may block you and bringing everything to a halt. And that's the dangerous part of it. So that's my message.
Is beautiful, the tuning fork, and always like just checking where are you, right? And that can change. It is also that. I mean, it can, because you just maybe in the process of it depends on what you're doing. If it's a story that you want to tell, that obviously you that you just go to the core of it. That is true. How do you, because it seemed so easy when you talked about you just have to listen to your heart and like conquer the fear, or go towards it. How do you know that your heart is telling the truth? How do you know? How do you know if it's even your heart that is talking to you?
I think
that conversation
I guess
turned 50 degrees more philosophical now.
Yeah, it's very philosophical. Yeah, I like that. I think it's the biggest question in life. And how do I see it? I think you have to. I think you have to accept that you might be a different person in a week or in a month or in a few years, and your journey will takes like turns and U-turns and it's not about bending your mission or your goal or anything. It was sort of like, yeah, you have to adjust it probably all the way and trusting. I think everyone can find the truth within themselves. So it's like I have to listen to my heart, but how do I know my heart is telling the truth? If I have like this struggle, I go into nature. I go for a walk, I go for a hike, I go for a run. I'm a very passionate runner, and if I lose the direction, I try to take a break and go into nature. And the moment I know I'm getting better and I'm finding my my tone, I'm hearing my music again, is when I take my phone or take my camera and start taking pictures. That's where I know, okay, yeah, that's my core, and the need to document something, capturing beauty, and best of all, capturing beauty in nature is the best thing. And so there, I think that's probably it. Yeah, I just have a feeling for it.
Simple and beautiful.
Yeah, but I can lose it, and I have lost it many times. But like I said, if that happens, then I go outside.
That's so interesting that in English I don't know, the idea struck me that there is change of heart and also I've changed my mind, right? So it's like almost a kind of different way of operating in the world. And I think what you're talking about is definitely like going in nature, something connected to your inner.
I can change my mind about stuff. I can change my mind about a subject or people or my own decisions. And I think, like you said, it's not the same thing as changing your heart. It's changing your decision. And also to have like patience for yourself and allowing yourself to change your mind, to change your a decision, and doing this instead of that, and so on. But not losing faith in that your heart is it's there, and it's guiding you all the same.
Thank you. This has been beautiful, Linda. You are.
Well, thank you for taking me into these philosophical spheres, because that is a luxury, and to have time and space to do that is is one of the things that make life worth living, I guess. And it's also like a storytelling in itself.
Yeah, and I mean, I highly recommend what you're doing now at Servus TV, that we name them, because that is exactly what Valeria and I both feel that's why we're doing this. It's not constructing something. It is, we are just want to see you and your truth in this moment, and our truth in this moment. And it can be a different one tomorrow, and in different cases, because we learned something from you, for example. And it made us then, or made me, for example, like realize, like, okay, wait, do I want to look at it this way or the other way? What is it, And it makes one curious. And I think it's really important what you are doing at Servus TV, that you are showing different aspects, and you're not taking someone that is trained and as in like, this is the way, you know, I'm just going to say it, and which is
not
good.
only,
and not
but
only,
we also
which
take
is
politicians.
good,
Yeah,
and it is valid, and we need it too, because that's also another way of looking at it. So I think it's good, like, not to take, I don't know, like, put like everything is included, like everyone, their opinions are valid, and then us as audience can go like, okay, what resonates for me? And hopefully it opens up, you know, for us something where we can maybe question, like, am I maybe too rigid in one area? And do I want to open up there? Which I think is beautiful. So thank you so much for that.
you're very welcome.
This
Absolute pleasure.
analogy with the fork is still doing something to me. It's I don't know. I was struck with it. It's beautiful. I've never heard anyone describing this process like that. And
Oh, that's nice. That's
wonderful.
good to hear. Yeah, they helped me very much, and I hope, you know, mentioning it helps someone else.
Yes.
In these times, God knows we need that.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. This has been beautiful. To be continued, to be honest. And then we'll go so deep, you guys, that you're going to be like, where are they going with this now? Lost ourselves in philosophy and all.
Philosophy, yeah.
Love nothing better.
Yeah, that you know, there are complex layers of our job in media, and that's one part of them. And I think actually I that's what I love about media, television, filmmaking. Actually, I think everyone is sort of like in their free time, a freelance philosophy, or a very philosophical person, or having that layer as well. I find more people with, you know, sort of like a touch of philosophy, or need to have philosophical contemplation about reality as we know it, in media, actually. Yeah.
We are looking for the future with you. That is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.